I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. Yours, your parents, possibly your grandparents' favorite Harry Potter podcast. Why? Probably because it's the only Harry Potter podcast. I am the muggle of the show, your co-host, Josh Brown. I am joined, as always, by my dear friend slash sensei, Matt Sonnenberg.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well.
This is the first week that we are actually doing our normal schedule. I feel a little weird about it.
Yeah, like it's been not only been a while since we recorded, but that means like I only had to read 2 chapters.
Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah.
Last week we recorded for about 4.5 straight hours to knock out 3 episodes. This week, hey, it's easy sailing, buddy. This is episode 7, which means we're covering chapters 10 and 11. That's it. That's all we got this week, folks. Enjoy it. Soak it in. This is where it's going to be especially important that you guys let us know how the pacing is of the release schedule for these episodes. Is it too slow? Is it not enough per week? Like, now this is where we're going to need that information. 1 episode a week, 1 or 2 chapters a week. I feel like it might be a little slow for people, but at the same time, things that are good and things that you want to enjoy, sometimes you just want them to last a little bit longer, Matt, and that's what we're doing here.
Yep. Give them something to look forward to each week.
That's right.
Like I can guarantee you we're not going to change the schedule for the remainder of book 1.
Right.
But as we're going along, if you feel that it's too slow, let us know. If you feel that it's going too fast, let us know. And that's something we can look at and possibly change for book 2, 3, as far as we get.
Sure. Absolutely. For new listeners out there, welcome. Pleasure to have you aboard. If you're kind of wondering what this is an audio version of a book club. Essentially, this is my first time reading the entire Harry Potter series. I've never touched a book until this podcast started. So I am reading the books for the first time, and I'm going to be watching the movies afterwards. Matt is reading along with me. Matt, however, has read the books many times, countless times, if you will, and it's something that he has a passion for, a love for. He wanted to share that with me. He convinced me to do it by convincing me that a podcast was the way to go. I don't say no to new podcasts. So here we are. I am reading the Harry Potter books. We are doing it on podcast. We are encouraging the listening audience out there to read along with us. We have our schedule posted at talesfromgodricshollow.com, so you can see where we're at with the reading. You could read along, whether it's your first time, whether you haven't read them in a long time and you're getting back to them, whether you read them frequently. Doesn't matter. As long as you're reading along with us, these podcasts kind of act as a way to recap what the reading was about for the previous week and kind of just have some fun talking about Harry Potter, which I don't think I've ever said before in my life. So that's an unusual thing for me to admit and say with a straight face, but I am enjoying it, and I think Matt is enjoying the fact that I'm enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that every week, that, you're still enjoying it.
Yeah. And I hope that everybody out there not only enjoys it, but enjoys the fact that I'm enjoying it. I was camping this last weekend, and my friend Colin was with us, and he said, so this Harry Potter thing, like, do you honestly like the books, or are you just putting on a show for the podcast? I'm like, no, Colin, this is legit, man. Like, I could fake my way through a podcast if it was like 1 episode, but I couldn't do it on a weekly basis. Not a chance. Things I'm passionate for, I just keep doing and I keep enjoying. So Yeah, it's a real thing. I am really digging Harry Potter from where we're at now. Midway through book one. I don't know what the future holds as far as the rest of the series. Obviously, I
It gets better.
anticipate it. Yeah, that it gets better. But we'll see. And then that's going to be part of the fun is me exploring that for better or for worse. One or two chapters at a time every week, releasing on Tuesdays. Tales from
Got
Godric's
it.
Hollow. Listen, which you are. Um, Matt, we have something that we've been teasing for several episodes now. I was going to say several weeks, but we've only been around like 2 weeks, so that's not a real thing. Several episodes now. What were we talking about? What were we teasing, and what will we have at the end of the show?
Well, yesterday was the end of our giveaway.
Mm.
We are giving away a complete set of the hardcover set of the Harry Potter books.
Mm-hmm.
And we are picking our winner tonight. So that's going to be at the end of the episode.
Very exciting. And the only thing that people had to do to enter was leave a review on iTunes for us, take a screenshot of it, email it to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com, and you were entered for the giveaway. Here's the best part about the giveaway. And I think you've said this before, but I think it needs to be reiterated. Every review that is on iTunes, whether you win for this contest or not, probably if you don't win, I mean, if you win, you're probably not going to win again. But every review on iTunes that's left is essentially acts as an entry for giveaways. So the next time we do a giveaway based on iTunes reviews, we're going to use every review that's been left on iTunes up until that point.
Correct. Yeah. So everybody that's entered for this giveaway, this iTunes review giveaway, if you want to title it that way, is already entered for every future giveaway we have.
That's right. So don't feel like if you missed the deadline, like you shouldn't leave an iTunes review, because it definitely still helps us, helps the show, helps us gain a bigger audience, which means more people reading the book that you can interact with and talk to about it. But it also gives you a future entry for whatever future giveaways we have. So please, go to iTunes. Leave a review. As Matt says, we can't force you to leave 5 stars, but we know people that can.
I don't think I have ever said that.
I think that's a direct quote. Somebody will have to
think
cut
that gets the idea across. So, sure, we'll go with it.
Sure. So where do we start on this show, Matt? Where do you want to start?
Well, we will start where we always start, and with your first real challenge, the recap.
I'm a little nervous about this, Matt.
This is the one. I mean, like last week we kind of had it, like you had a week between, but you had done a lot of reading in between, and so it'll be interesting now to see with a full week.
Mm-hmm.
We're just doing the one episode.
Is it just
pull it off?
Okay? So please remind me, because it's been a week, Matt.
Yep.
Last episode, episode 6. Which chapter or chapters did we cover?
Episode 6 was actually just one chapter. It was titled "The Midnight Duel."
Chapter 9.
Yes.
All right. So here's a quick recap of Chapter 9 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the far superior title of the books. We learned right off the bat that Quidditch is kind of a big deal, not only in Hogwarts, but basically in the entire wizarding world of wizards and witches and goblins and trolls. Yeah, I feel like Quidditch is going to be talked about again in the book. But Chapter 9, like, this is like our first introduction to how big Quidditch is, especially amongst the students. We learned that Ron is extremely accident prone, which is kind of scary going forward, because I feel like there's going to be some adventures happening that may not bode well for accident prone kids. Draco Malfoy, he's the bad guy of the book. He has an eagle owl, which we did an online or a live Google search on the podcast, and we revealed that eagle owls are just giant owls with little tufts sticking up above their eyes. Makes them look scary. That's an eagle owl. He has one of those. Makes sense because he's a scary dude. We found out that Harry is a natural-born broomstick rider. It didn't seem like it was possible that a first-year student would be able to handle a broomstick easily, especially in the way that Harry did. And he was kind of only doing it to protect his friend Neville, who kind of was getting picked on by Draco, naturally, because Draco needs somebody to pick on. And this Neville Longbottom kid seems like he's going to be an easy target going forward. So Harry, he was trying to protect his friend, who had a memory in a ball. It was like a smoke bomb, if you will. And Draco tried to steal it, and Harry jumped on a broom, and they went flying around up a tree, around probably some more trees. I don't know the landscape of this place, but it seems kind of foresty, not sure. And Draco dropped it, and Harry zoomed down, and he was able to snag it in midair just milliseconds before it smashed on the ground. I imagine it would have broke into 1,000 pieces. I don't think they really explained how fragile these things were. Maybe it's like a super ball. Maybe it would just bounce right back up. I don't know.
Well, they did mention it was made of glass, so...
Oh, okay. Well, broomsticks don't naturally fly either, so what's glass in the wizarding world of Harry Potter may not necessarily mean that it's fragile and breakable.
Fair enough.
But sure, implying that it's glass, or saying that it's glass, is probably implying that it's fragile. Now, in this daring, death-defying stunt that Harry pulled, a teacher, Miss McGonagall, saw him. Professor McGonagall, sorry. Ooh. She means business. She also likes lemon drops. She saw Harry do this. He thought for sure he was busted. Going to be probably expelled. He'd probably be working for Hagrid out in the lawn, caretaking if he was lucky. Turns out Professor McGonagall is a huge Quidditch fan. She paints her face, team colors. She goes to like tailgates before Quidditch matches. Like, it's a big deal for her. And she took Harry to the captain of the team for Gryffindors, because that's the team. And she's like, hey, this is a new stud. Like, he's going to be a natural at Quidditch, I promise you. I don't remember the kid's name. He was kind of a big deal. He's like the jock of the school, I assume.
Oliver Wood.
Oliver Wood. How could you forget that name? And yeah, so it was Harry was kind of relieved to know that he was probably going to be put on the Quidditch team, which doesn't happen for first years because first year students aren't even allowed to have broomsticks, let alone be on the Quidditch team. So kind of a big deal. And towards the end, I don't remember exactly what happened, why it was happening, but they went on an adventure and they found a 3-headed dog protecting something, a cellar door, and they got scared. Neville was with them. And when I say they, I mean Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They being the trio of the book. And Neville, because Neville needs to be hanging around somewhere. And, that was pretty much the chapter, I think.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Sure.
We'll roll with that.
Yeah. The transition from the Quidditch thing to the 3-headed dog is the only thing I'm not remembering. Oh! I remember! Harry and Draco Malfoy were going to do a wizard duel.
Yeah.
To the death. And Ron was going to be Harry's backup, so when Harry died, Ron was going to step in his place.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it at midnight. In a scary place.
In the trophy room.
But it was dark.
Not necessarily scary.
Well, it was dark.
After curfew.
It was dark and it was midnight. But Draco didn't show up. He set him up.
Yeah.
And he told the teachers the teacher with the weird cat, and they chased him into the hallway, and that's when they found the three-headed dog.
Okay, I'll correct you there. Yeah, I think I'm not. It's never actually stated who Draco alerted, but Mr. Filch and his cat Mrs. Norris went looking for them.
Okay.
But just to be clear, Mr. Filch is not a teacher.
Okay.
Yep. That's why that's partly the reason I differentiated before with McGonagall, that she's Professor McGonagall.
Sure.
Because she's a teacher.
Okay. There's a lot of people in this house, Matt, and I can't keep up with who's teaching and who's.
I know.
It's a lot.
That's why you're gonna enjoy this chapter.
Yes, that's true.
Where I read off our new characters.
That's right.
We actually don't have any new characters.
Mm-hmm.
We just learn the first name of one we've already met briefly.
Right.
And that is Parvati Patil.
Yes.
We only had one mention of the Patil twins, actually, during the Sorting Hat ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
There was Patil and Patil, and now we know one of them is named Parvati, and that I believe we also know that she's a Gryffindor. I don't remember exactly where that came up, but if I run across
so the
it, I'll
twins
point
were
out.
separated into different houses?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting.
One was a Hufflepuff, right?
I don't know if they actually told us where they got sorted.
I have to go back and double check.
Yeah.
I definitely am associating Hufflepuff with that name, but maybe I'm just making stuff up.
Because I think they were just like in the list of people they flew by. It's our trio of people was talking about something else.
Right.
It's like in the background, these people got sorted.
Sure. But I'm pretty sure it said which house they got sorted into.
It's possible. We can look it up later.
Either way, didn't really impact too much. But it's definitely a name that we knew, or had heard at least.
Yes.
So Chapter 10. What's the title of Chapter 10?
Chapter 10 is called Halloween.
Right off the bat, I'm like, they're already to Halloween, huh? This is flying along here. No pun intended. It threw me off, Matt, because I wasn't expecting holidays to be celebrated at Hogwarts.
Oh, yeah. They have their fair share of holidays, definitely.
Sure. Maybe I just didn't assume that they celebrated the same Muggle holidays.
Yeah, but I mean, Halloween in particular, like, doesn't that almost... That's a Wizard and Witch holiday. Like, that's what it was based around.
Yeah, but it also seems too cliche also. Like, I could also see them, like...
So does flying on a broomstick.
Sure, I guess. But, like, in my head, like, before I was reading the chapter, I was... Like, I could see them, like, putting their nose up in the air about the thought of Muggles, like, celebrating Halloween because, like, how dare they, like, try to impersonate wizard and witches and stuff, and Halloween is such a juvenile Muggle holiday that they would never be caught dead celebrating something like that.
Sure.
I was wrong.
I think you find, too, they like to celebrate. They like to have their big meals in the Great Hall. Like, anytime they can pull out all the stops, I mean, they do, from what it sounds like, for pretty much every meal, but even more so on the holidays.
So that was my question, because they kind of made it, I think it was this chapter, they kind of made it seem like it was a big deal that they were in the hall eating, and, like, food was appearing on their plate, much like it did in the grand ceremony at the beginning of the year. But, so then I was thinking, do they not eat in the hall for every meal? Do they have meals elsewhere? Do meals not magically appear except on special occasions? Like, how does that work?
So, they always eat in the Great Hall.
Okay.
It definitely seems like a bigger deal is made out of the holidays. Like, it's a more formal meal almost. Like, Dumbledore might give a little speech and then they'll eat, whereas every day they come down to the Great Hall for breakfast.
Okay. So it's like more of a spectacle then?
Yeah, I think when they come down for breakfast, like they can come down whenever they want, and it's almost gonna be like a buffet type of thing. Like the food's just sitting there on the table. Help yourself.
Does the food
Whereas,
like disappear regardless of what meal it is? Is that just a normal thing for food there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like it'll just disappear when it's done. Like I'm sure, like there's a time when everybody's supposed to go to class, and so that's the end of the meal.
Okay. I don't know if maybe they had like people that like worked in the kitchen staff there that had to do the hard labor of meal service, except on these grand events where they had like the magic meals essentially.
No, that I mean that's all we know right now is that food magically appears, magically disappears, and there you go.
Okay.
One note that is made, I didn't actually make a note of it, but that actually it might be in chapter no it isn't chapter 10. Yeah. When they're in the middle of a meal and it gets interrupted,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to go to their dormitories.
Yes.
I believe they mentioned that food is brought up to their dormitory
Right.
so they can finish eating.
That's what started confusing me because I'm like, well, there's clearly people that's moving this food. Like,
Yeah,
if it was magic, couldn't they just make it appear in the dormitories?
It's possible that they use magic to get it up there, but it's not a standard thing that they do. So it was very much out of the ordinary, one-time thing.
Okay. I guess I just need a little bit more clarification how this magic food works.
Sure.
Because it's not really explained except when it's a big deal or it's pertinent to the story.
Well, in those occasions, I mean, I think J.K. Rowling really wanted to get into it because she started describing all the different food that was available.
Right.
And especially at the holidays, you get special foods. Like at Halloween, I think they started having all like the pumpkin-based foods.
Yeah.
That we might have at like Thanksgiving or something, more so than Halloween. But that those fall type foods, she wanted to expand on some foods that we might actually eat, but some foods that either, well, maybe the British are used to eating, or some that are made up. But just I think she likes to elaborate just to let us know what kind of food they're eating there.
Sure.
And the holidays, the big formal meals are a good time to do that.
I guess this just makes me want to know, like, just the everyday boring details of the school and how it operates,
As the series goes along, they actually do dive into a little more of how things work, I guess.
Right.
But for now, it's not really a big deal. It's magic.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Food has no real big part of this chapter.
It's true. But in grasping the overall universe, it is a good conversation there. So
Sure.
I don't mind.
Definitely. Also, like, it makes me think of like all the delicious food we had at Universal Studios when we went to Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of wish that food just magically appeared and disappeared.
You see, and that's like the only big difference. Like they try to bring a lot of the same foods in there.
Yeah.
But obviously they can't magic them to our tables. But we actually had to carry them. Yeah.
We just aren't magic enough yet, Matt.
No.
We also didn't have our wands at the time either, so maybe that has something
Very
to do
true.
with it. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Hard to do magic without one.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a goblin.
What? Goblins could do magic without wands?
Yeah, we covered that.
That was a long time ago, Matt.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they didn't have wands, did they?
They don't have wands, and they're opening the vault doors with goblin magic.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess there was no real definition of like how goblin magic worked, though.
I mean, at that time, Harry didn't even have his wand, so
that's true.
We didn't have a lot of explanation there.
That's true. So what was the big thing about this meal?
About this meal?
The first meal.
Actually, we're gonna have a few comments before that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. But I just wanted to comment, like, first paragraph, I think, how quickly 11-year-old boys' minds change. Like, they went from the night before being completely scared out of their minds, seeing this 3-headed dog,
Right.
to, I believe the quote was, Ron and Harry, they were quite keen to have another adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, almost dying, adventure. Let's see where this is going.
I think
Yeah.
they like the feel of adrenaline.
Yeah. I also noted that Neville and Hermione were not in the same boat.
I don't feel like Neville's going to be a part of the same boat at all forever.
It's true. It's true.
I feel like he's just going to be brought along against his will on a lot of different adventures, none of which he actually wants to participate in.
Yeah, to be honest, especially back in school, like, I think I was probably a lot like Neville.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I was a quiet kid. You wouldn't find me talking to anybody. Like, even in high school, there were days in high school when I would come home from school, sit down in my room, think to myself, I didn't say a word the entire day. Like, and sometimes I was almost proud of it, but like, I could go entire days without saying a word to anybody, even outside of class.
Would your younger
went to
self
school.
believe that your older self would be co-hosting a podcast?
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah, I've changed a bit, but yeah.
Have you ever gotten lost in a hallway and just laid down in the fetal position until someone found you?
No, I haven't quite done that.
Okay.
Although I did get kicked out of class once.
Whoa.
Only once.
Whoa, easy there, Draco.
And I, at that point, I did kind of feel lost. I was kind of angry at the time too, but I felt a little lost. Like, I didn't know where to go. Like,
Sure.
I had no idea what I was supposed to do. It was like I was supposed to be in class and I got kicked out. So what do I do now? Like, where do you go?
The principal's office, man. With all the troublemakers.
That's the thing. He didn't send me to that. He like, the teacher just told me to get out. And I'm like, okay, do what? And so I did literally just sit down in the hallway and wait until class was over.
Huh.
So that's the closest I got.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, 11-year-old boys change their mind all the time.
They do. So it'll be interesting to see that, you know, Harry and Ron want to be adventurous. I think this really kind of pushes forward that they were placed in Gryffindor for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're the brave adventurers type.
Sure.
In any case, moving along, we once again see Harry is getting special treatment.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be giving Harry special treatment except for Snape.
Mm-hmm.
He's still the exception. He's still picking on him.
Well, I mean, he gets his own form of special treatment from
Okay.
Snape.
Fair enough.
Because I don't think Snape picks on other kids the way he picks on Harry.
Not so much.
That we know of, at least.
I mean, you can make an argument for Hermione, except he it just comes off in a different way. Like, picking on Hermione is not giving her attention.
Right. Which isn't really picking on her, but that's how she takes it.
It's two birds with one stone for Snape.
Yeah.
I mean, he can pick on Harry and ignore Hermione, and they're both not liking it. So
That's true.
But yeah, we see him getting all this special treatment. Like, every teacher is on his side. But then they go one step further, and they actually buy him a broomstick.
Right.
It's not like Harry couldn't afford it, as far as we know.
Sure.
But then they not only buy him a broomstick, but they buy him the best broomstick available.
Nimbus 2000.
Nimbus 2000, the biggest, best broomstick available. Like it just does. It blows my mind that that's even like allowed. You know, we were talking about like NCAA rules and stuff, like that would never fly.
Right. No, definitely not.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Wow.
I found it weird that like they wanted to kind of keep it a secret. They didn't want Harry to open it at the table in front of everybody and make all the kids jealous.
Mm-hmm.
But they still had it delivered like in front of everybody with 6 owls. I'm pretty sure they aren't using 6 owls to deliver a whole lot of things.
No, but that's just how the delivery system works. Like that's why I would want an owl in the first place.
Sure.
Is because that's your own personal delivery. Like you can do it whenever you want. Then
Couldn't they have delivered it like to his dorm?
you would think so, but that's when the mail gets delivered is at breakfast.
Or like just the letter of like, hey, go pick up a package at
We left it at this PO box.
Yeah.
this Amazon.com box.
Hagrid's house. You know, Hagrid's holding this package for you. You go there
There
after
you go.
class.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is more dramatic this way, but
I guess
it would have made more sense, yes, to have. Yeah, I mean, even just Professor McGonagall pick it up and give it to Harry after class or something.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
like here's this giant package that everybody's looking at as you get it delivered, but don't open it because you're gonna make kids jealous. But
And you're only not going to open it if you actually open the card first.
right.
That tells you not to open. Like the package should have had "Do not open" written all over
Right.
it.
Just little details that look, Professor McGonagall needs to clean up her act a little bit. She's getting a little sloppy in her old age. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, he got this awesome broomstick.
He got an awesome broomstick, and then Harry fully gets introduced to Quidditch.
Mm-hmm. I was ready for this. I've been waiting for this, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know we've talked Quidditch around you quite a bit.
Yep.
But now, for the first time, you actually know what it is
Yes.
and how it's played and who plays it.
Well, look, yeah, for the most part, I think.
Yeah, they pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I do appreciate, though, before they got into the rules of Quidditch, that Harry and Harry alone seemed to know what basketball was.
Yes, I made a note about that too. Like, wizards just have no knowledge of Muggle sports.
Even though most of them, like, live in the Muggle world, right? And just come back to school during the school year.
Yeah, that kind of blows my mind a little bit because, like, I mean, sports are going to be a huge part of Muggle culture.
Right.
So it seems very odd that they don't know what basketball is. They don't even really know what soccer is.
Right. And, like, even, like, if you just, like, know of, like, you only have one sport that you follow, you know, every day, like, that is your thing. That is your passion. Is that one sport? Yeah. You still know that other sports exist. You just don't like them.
Exactly. Like, football is my sport that I follow.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what basketball is. I know how it's played.
Right.
I know what soccer is. I know how it's played.
Sure. You could watch it and not feel like it's your first time learning Quidditch.
Yeah.
Just fascinating that all these other kids have no idea what basketball is.
Like it totally makes sense that Harry doesn't know what Quidditch is because the Wizarding world tries to hide all that stuff from the Muggle world.
Sure.
And Harry's lived in the Muggle world his entire life. He's had no connection to any wizards up until now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also just like the basketball comparison because I was like, oh, okay, so Quidditch is like basketball. And then as they start explaining, I'm like, this is nothing like basketball. Why is this even a comparison?
it was just the one aspect of putting the ball through the hoop.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only comparison you can draw to basketball.
Yeah.
Which is a fair enough comparison because you put the ball through the hoop and you get points.
Right.
Perfect. I do that all the time, personally, when I'm explaining board games to people. if I know they have played other games with similar rules,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm explaining this rule, I'll explain it and say it's kind of like this in this. I'll use reference it. I'll reference other games they've played that
Okay.
have similar rules, and so I totally get that.
Sure. Makes sense.
So overall, what do you think of Quidditch?
Super confusing.
Okay.
Kinda. Mostly, it sounds super dangerous.
I think you're in the same boat as Harry.
Like, for one, everybody's flying around broomsticks. Okay, so
Yep.
you're up in the air, and not like just a few feet off the ground. Like, this is up, way up high,
Yep.
from what I could tell.
Yeah, the hoops were, I think, 50 feet in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're talking, 5-story building.
Yeah, and in the next chapter, like, they're talking about, like, having to use binoculars just to see the players. And I'm like, holy cow. Way
well,
up
I mean,
there.
There are people who use binoculars at a football game if you're sitting way up in the stands, you know?
Sure. But...
And actually, I mean, if you think about that, that's... but, okay, the players, though, are on the ground. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Whereas this is almost reversed.
Right.
Where the players are in the air and people are on the ground.
Yeah, so if they were down on the ground and the people were on the ground, like, you wouldn't need binoculars because they wouldn't be that high up.
Sure.
But
Sure.
higher they go up, the more need for binoculars there is. So that's danger number one, is you're trusting all these kids who are probably pretty good at using a broomstick to be on the team, I imagine. There still seems to be possibility of things going awry with the broomsticks. So that's scary that they're up in the air. But then you got this other part of the game, which I wasn't expecting at all, Matt. I don't feel like I was prepared for this aspect of the game. So you have the people that are trying to score, which are called the Chasers.
Yes.
They're essentially the offense of the team.
Yep.
They are trying to... I'm going to butcher all the names, so I'm not even going to... They're trying to throw the balls through the hoops.
The quaffle.
The what?
Quaffle.
The quaffle. Yep, never going to remember that. Then you have the keeper, and I think there's just one keeper per team.
Correct.
And he's essentially the goalie.
Yes.
And he's trying to block all the chasers that are throwing the quaffles through the hoops to try to, I guess, knock the quaffles out of the air and prevent them from going through the hoops.
Yeah. For the record, there's only one quaffle.
One quaffle, that's right. There's some other balls involved that...
Yep.
There's a lot of things going on, Matt. So the chasers are trying to throw the quaffle through one of the three hoops. This poor keeper has to try to guard all three hoops.
I mean, like, I understand, like, even just trying to defend one soccer goal is hard because it's so wide.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it depends how far or how big the hoops are and how far apart they are, as to how hard or how different that is compared to soccer.
Right.
You know,
Still just feels like it's a chore.
It feels, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So all that's fine and dandy. No problem with that part of the game. Then you get to the interesting parts. First you have the Seeker. And there's one of those per team.
Yes.
And the Seeker's entire job is to find the golden snitch.
Yes.
And once he found the golden snitch, he just chases that thing around until they are able to grab it.
Yes.
That's the Seeker's entire job, is just to seek out the golden snitch and obtain
their only job.
Okay, fine. That's weird. That's a weird little, like, mini game going on within the game. Like, I feel like there's this soccer match going on, and then there's just, like, some random fan streaking through the stadium, but there's no security guards to stop him, and he's just running back and forth trying to catch, like, a little dragonfly that just happens to be buzzing around the soccer field for no apparent reason whatsoever. Very unusual, but whatever. It's its own little mini game. The thing with that, though, whoever catches the Seeker gets 150 points and ends the game. That's it.
Yes.
End of the game. The game will continue until a snitch is caught,
Yes.
with the longest match on record going 3 months,
Yep.
which is basically just an average cricket game.
I can't say I've ever watched an entire cricket game, but
Nobody has, because they don't stop. Nobody
All
has
right.
that kind of time. No, seriously, cricket is the most abstract thing you'll ever know. I'm not even going to get into cricket.
yeah, yeah,
So that's a fun little fascinating that ends the game instantly. There's no time limit. There's no quarters. There's no halves. There's no anything like that. It's just the match continues until the golden snitch is caught. 150 points pretty much means that team that catches it wins, which means everything that happened up until then is pretty much useless. It's pointless. There's a lot of stuff going on for no real reason whatsoever.
now, a lot of people have that argument, yes,
Mm.
but it's not pointless. I mean, if the other team, if someone can score up to 160 points,
Yeah, but
or
then,
I guess outscore the other team by
Sure.
160 points,
right.
then you,
No.
catching the snitch is not advantageous to you.
Okay, so then what happens if somebody's up by 150 points and the other team catches the snitch, ends the match, it's a tie? Are there ties in Quidditch? Is there sudden death?
I don't know if that's actually addressed. In my head, whoever caught the snitch would win.
Interesting. Which, again, makes the whole thing abstract. Whatever. It's its own thing. That's basically the main important goal of Quidditch, is to catch the golden snitch.
Yes.
Everything else is everything else which looks on the outside to be the important part, with the ball, with the quaffle and the rings and all the action up in the air, is kind of just smoke and mirrors for the two people chasing around the golden snitch.
Yeah.
However, there's one more aspect to Quidditch, and this is the frightening part, Matt. The beaters.
Yes.
Explain what the beaters are.
The beaters are the two players on the team, on each team, that they have bats to start off. Each beater has a bat. And they are in charge of not only protecting their team from these two magical balls known as the bludgers, which, by the way, yeah, anything called a bludger is not a good thing.
Doesn't sound good.
No. But these magical bludgers more or less are trying to knock people off their brooms. And so it's your beater's job to protect their teammates from these bludgers, and at the same time try to redirect these bludgers into the other team.
Right.
Yeah.
Frightening, Matt.
Very. It's essentially, I mean, I don't know size-wise and speed-wise exactly how it will compare, but it's like saying, all right, this pitcher is going to throw this baseball at you. Your job is to hit it back at him.
Yeah.
Like, you want to try to hit the pitcher with this ball.
Right. Welcome to cricket. Now, just on the initial explanation of it, it sounds scary. Like, in the next chapter, chapter 11, like, we find out, like, how much more intense it actually is.
Sure.
But the fact that the Weasley twins are assumed to be, like, some of the best beaters out there,
Yeah.
kind of lets you know where we stand with the type of kids or players that fall into the beater category.
Sure.
I don't want the Weasley twins armed with bats flying around trying to smack things.
No, not especially when they share one mind.
Scary stuff, man.
Yeah. But great move on Gryffindor's part, getting them on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the Weasley tradition is long and deep with Gryffindor Quidditch team, it seems.
It's true. Like, we know that Charlie Weasley was the Quidditch captain,
Mm-hmm.
which, once again, Oliver Wood, their current captain, brought up again that he thinks Harry could be better than Charlie Weasley,
Right.
who they mentioned could have gone pro.
Played for the London team.
I think England, but yes.
Was it England?
I think it was England.
Okay.
I think they just go by country.
Which where are they playing these things? Are they playing it in the Muggle world?
At this point, we don't know.
No, we don't
know.
We know that he gave up Quidditch to go chase dragons.
Yep.
So that's a thing.
Yep.
Holy cow.
But
This
yeah,
world
so
is getting intense, Matt.
Charlie Weasley, he was captain. Fred and George, they're both on the team. So we don't know where that leaves Ron. He's a first year, so he's not expected to be on the team yet.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe
we know
someday.
he loves it, but is he going to be
Yes.
good at it? Is he gifted enough to be on the team? We don't know.
I mean, we know he's always talking about Quidditch.
Right.
But, I mean, I talk a lot about football, but I don't play football. Never have.
It kind of makes me wonder if he's going to be jealous of Harry at all.
Sure.
Because first years aren't supposed to be on the team.
Yeah.
And here is this kid who's never even heard of it, now about to be on the team at one of the most crucial roles of the team.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's Quidditch.
That is Quidditch. So that leads us to our Muggle poll for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So after hearing about the 4 different positions,
Yeah.
which one would you be interested in playing?
I thought about this, Matt.
Yep.
Long and hard. I feel like being a keeper is a thankless job. Much
Sure.
like being a goalie, except for the fact that like it's even more thankless because really in the end your work or lack of effort doesn't really matter either way. I feel like being a beater could be fun, but I don't think I have the brutality and killer instinct to be a beater.
Okay.
I feel like being a seeker is way too much pressure. Way too much pressure. Like, that's the position of the ball is in your hand with a few seconds left and you have to make a 3-pointer to win the game type of pressure.
Okay.
I don't want that pressure. I'm going to be a chaser. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm just going to try to score, fly around, kind of stay out of the way as much as I can, and hope not to get smacked in the head.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually did come down to the same conclusion, but from far different angle.
Okay.
I also went with Chaser,
Okay.
but I went with it because I thought that's where the most action would be,
Okay.
and where you get to actually like where it becomes a team sport.
Sure.
Because there are 3 chasers and you're working together with one quaffle to get the job done.
Right. While trying to avoid the Bash Brothers.
From the other team.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I'm on Gryffindor, I kind of put my faith in Fred and George
Yeah.
that they're going to protect me
Right.
and just kind of concentrate on doing my thing.
Sure. There's
But
a
yeah,
lot of glory in being a seeker.
There is, and that's why it doesn't surprise me that the Seeker won out
Mm-hmm.
in our poll,
Yeah.
44%. But that's where I expected one of our earlier polls to go with which house are you in?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I expected Gryffindor to blow everything away because, everybody won more or less that glory.
Yeah.
Like, that was the house to be in.
That's where the prestige is.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure why there wasn't more of a correlation there, but yeah, definitely a lot of the the Seeker position is going to bring a lot of honor and fame, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I can't blame you folks out there for picking that position. I couldn't live with it. That's too much pressure, because if I didn't catch the gold snitch and the opposing team caught it because I was unable to, that's all on me. Like, I just feel like the entire thing rests on the shoulders of the Seeker and how good they're playing that game.
Yeah.
It's too much, man. It's too much. What position does the captain play?
It
Mr.
can vary.
Wood.
Wood is the keeper.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
But, like,
so it's like hockey. The captain could be whatever.
yeah, because like Charlie Weasley was a Seeker.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's voted. Actually, it sounds more like it's chosen by the staff.
Sure.
I don't know if it's head of house or Dumbledore or who chooses exactly, but
Or the outgoing captain, maybe.
maybe it sounds like it's one of those positions that, like the prefects, that are chosen by staff. So,
Sure. All right.
but yeah, there's our first introduction to Quidditch.
Yep.
And all the good stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Then we did have a little bit of school time.
Mm-hmm.
They got into their first charms class. We got to learn a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noted is that we learned a little bit more about spellcasting.
Yes.
And how it's not just putting words with your wand. There's actually, in this instance, he noted, watch the nice wrist movement.
Right.
And so that there's actually certain movements that you have to give your wand and the words.
And specific enunciation of the words, too.
Yes. And so, all in all, spellcasting takes a lot of practice.
Sure.
Like, just like anything else, I guess. Like, it's any other class you might have.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're learning something new. It's gonna take a lot of practice. It's not just in everybody instantly.
It's the equivalent of like Wii Sports bowling and also trying to use the Kinect at the same time. It could be a mess if you don't do it right.
Sure.
It's all on the wrist, Matt.
All on the wrist.
I during this whole thing, this whole process of this, second part of the chapter, I was really paying attention to the Ron and Hermione dynamic between the two of them, and I'm absolutely just fascinated by those two and how they interact with each other. And I think, like, if I had to, like, pick something as far as, like, what I am most interested in knowing about, it's these two characters together. How their friendship continues to blossom, like, just how they speak to each other, how they talk to each other. Like, they were forced to be on the same group in this class.
Yep.
And just I'm just absolutely in love with these two.
All right. That's not something I would have picked up on necessarily.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really would have picked out my first time through, but that's interesting.
I mean, Harry's fine. Like, Harry, he's the lead character, and, like, there's all kinds of, like, interesting things. Like, Hagrid is probably still my favorite character, even though we don't get nearly enough of him. But just, like, this chapter, like, just the Ron and Hermione just interactions, I'm just like, yes, I would just read the story if it was just them two, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the writing, I can't pinpoint it, but there's something there that I'm enjoying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Find someone besides the main character that you can enjoy. And thankfully for you, then, I mean, I think you can already tell, you've referred to them as the trio already,
mm-hmm.
that they are, number 2 and 3.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll see plenty of them.
I mean, I feel like Neville slides in there, but he like I said, he seems to just be brought into it. He's never a part of the group. He just accidentally
Yeah,
happens to be a part.
he never is like, hey, let's go do something. It's like, oh, shoot, you're doing something and I'm here.
Always at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like my major pickup from just like the character building that was going on.
I like it. So yeah, then we finally get to Halloween, the meal that you were talking about that you tried to jump into right away.
Well, I was trying to jump into the first meal with the 6 owls delivering the package.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was a little off there. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought you just wanted to jump into meals. Like the big event.
No.
I have a few things to talk about.
No, I was really concerned about the fact that there's a package being delivered by 6 owls.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, now we're at meal number 2, and it's Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And my first note, there were, I believe they described it as hundreds or maybe no, I think it was 1,000 live bats.
Yes.
And I don't care if they're magic or not. I do not want 1,000 live bats in the same room I'm trying to eat.
Well, I think they said there's 1,000 live bats like on the walls and the ceiling, and then another 1,000 live bats flying around.
Whatever the case may be,
That's
I do not want 1,000 live bat. I don't want one live bat in the room where I'm eating.
Right.
Yeah, like I get ambiance and I get the holiday thing, and since they're wizards, they can do this. They probably charm the bats to just fly around and not bother anybody or whatever. But I'd rather not have them there.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, then what did happen during this meal, which I thought you were getting at before?
You want me to tell it?
Go for it.
Oh. This guy runs in. I don't remember who it was.
Professor Quirrell.
Sure.
The Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
That's okay. The name, familiar with it. I was like, I know it's probably somebody I should know, but I'm not picking up on it right now.
Yep.
All I picked up on was that he was wearing a turban, so I was trying to picture what the guy looked like, and I couldn't remember if that had been described to anybody else.
Yeah. When Harry first met him, he was wearing the turban.
Okay. So he comes running into the hallway and like collapses on Dumbledore's table. And he proclaims that there is a troll in the dungeon.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of passes out. He's just like, that's the extent of what I'm doing here. Like that he's had enough.
So once again, this gets into your conversation of, should he be the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher? Not only is all he can do alert everybody else, but then he still collapses.
Yeah. And
like he just can't handle anything. Like he didn't even have to do anything with the troll necessarily. He just saw it and ran away and passed out.
Yeah. I worry about that guy.
Yeah. In any case, when you think of a troll, what do you think of? Like, how would you have described a troll before reading this?
Oh, here's the thing. I feel like a few years ago, my description of a troll would have been much different. But there's a great indie film that was made in Norway or Sweden, I can't remember where, called Troll Hunter.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. It's like a lost footage type of film, but they dive into the lore of trolls and the existence of trolls, and that trolls live out in the wild, and some of them could be as big as a mountain, and some of them are like 10 to 12 feet tall, and they eat rocks, and they're super aggressive, and they're ugly, and so because of that movie specifically, like my idea of a troll kind of fit hand in hand with the description of the troll in this book.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Prior to that, what's the first thing you thought of when you heard troll?
Troll under the bridge.
Yes, exactly.
Or internet troll. the egg icon on Twitter.
Okay. But my first thought too is troll under the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
which in my head is typically like a small wooden bridge over a creek.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
just the little thing. So trolls can't be that big.
Right.
So then when we get this description that it's 12 feet tall, like that just immediately was not what I was expecting.
Right.
So I guess there's different lore, if you will, about trolls, and it depends which definition you're going with.
Sure.
But now we know, yes, it's these big 12-foot tall, ugly, gray, long-armed, stupid creatures.
Carrying a club. Also
Carrying a
wearing
club.
trousers. Like, that kind of took me off guard a little bit. Like, I wasn't expecting the troll to be dressed.
Everybody's got to have a little bit of clothing, right?
I don't expect him to. It doesn't feel like the troll is really more than just like an animal, you know? Like, it has like the human characteristics, sure,
Yeah.
but like nothing about it screams this thing wears clothes.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Whatever. Once the trousers thing, I'm just like, really? The troll wear trousers? I'm not sure about that. Like, which is weird because goblins at the bank, you know?
Yep.
I picture them to be like dressed to the nine, like like full on suits and like fancy ties and like looking like very professional bankers at like multi-billion-dollar banks, you know.
So I think the big difference there is, okay, one, they're working at a bank.
Right.
But two, I think the biggest difference between the goblins and the trolls is they're having a conversation with the goblins.
Right.
The troll, the first thing, like the first description is it's stupid.
Yes.
But,
Ron
like,
said
I think,
they are supposed to be stupid.
Yes. So I guess that, and we never like hear it talk. We hear it grunt and make
Right.
noises, but I think that's probably where your differentiation comes in.
Sure.
As to why you would consider the goblins more human type and be dressed as opposed to the troll just
Right. But before
Yeah.
this book, I wouldn't have said goblins were wearing clothes. But they never
Okay.
described the goblins wearing clothes. But that, in my head, like everything that I read about that, you know, the goblins in that one chapter
Yeah.
was like, these guys are dressed fancy.
Fair enough.
I don't. So, but I don't see the trolls wearing trousers. Like, even if they're like ripped, like old potato sacks, you know,
Yeah.
like just, I don't feel like they are the type of creatures that have the necessity for clothes in any form or fashion.
All right.
I just feel like they wouldn't care. Like,
Yeah.
nothing about a troll seems to be like, I care what I look like and I need to cover myself up.
So Professor Quirrell comes in.
Mm-hmm.
There's big commotion, but Dumbledore is too quick to get on top of it. He sends the students to their dorms and the teachers down to the dungeon.
Right.
Fair enough. On their way to the dorms, though, I'm just impressed at how quick Harry is to, even in a situation like this, not just think about getting to the dorms, but he instantly thinks about Hermione,
Mm-hmm.
who was not with them at the meal. They had heard that she was crying in a bathroom somewhere,
Right.
and so that's where his mind went first.
Yeah.
And I think that tells you, kind of gives you an idea too of how close they've become.
Right. Ron
Like that.
was not interested.
Not so much.
They also she hadn't been talking to him for a while.
Yeah.
She was radio silent.
But even so, that makes it even more amazing that Harry went there.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
That's where his mind went. Yeah.
Right.
And on their way there, they saw something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Professor Snape headed kind of in the opposite direction, not down to the dungeons where the troll was spotted,
Right.
but he was actually described as, once again, heading towards the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time we got that description, when they were running away from Filch on the 3rd floor. Where do people always end up?
In trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to that eventually, but when they finally dig into the bathroom in Hermione, well, actually, they didn't know. It just weird coincidence that it was the same bathroom. First of all,
Sure, right.
but they saw the troll wander into this bathroom, and I want to know why on earth was the key to the bathroom just sitting in the lock?
Sure.
Like, who leaves bathroom keys sitting in the lock?
Yeah, doesn't seem like the most effective,
especially at a school.
Yeah,
like, because any kid could walk by and lock that door and most likely lock someone inside.
Right. Why even need a lock on the bathroom? It's not a one-person bathroom.
No, but I mean, you think about it. Any public door basically has a lock on it.
Yeah, but I feel like a restroom where a lot of people would be using it at once. You know, it's like not a single stall restroom.
Well, okay. The only thing I can see is like if it was under repair, needed maintenance for some reason.
Sure.
That they could lock it.
But theoretically, like, the kids should be able to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom if they need to.
Well, I would imagine for those purposes they would have bathrooms in their dorm somewhere, probably.
That's possible. That's true. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, that just jumped out at me this time. It's like, wait, why was the key in the lock, just sitting?
Just a coincidence, Matt.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
In any case, they then found out Hermione was in the bathroom, and we've seen Hermione in extreme situations before. Like, I made a point of this the first time we saw this. Like, last time when they met the 3-headed dog, and Hermione was the only one that noticed the trapdoor in the floor.
Right.
She didn't seem to really be fazed by the 3-headed dog.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't want to go back and visit it, but she didn't really seem to care. Like, she kept her cool. But now, maybe the only thing I can think of is that she was caught off guard, because she is completely petrified of the troll. Right. She will not move a muscle.
She didn't exactly expect a troll to be busting in the bathroom.
No, yeah. I mean, she was kind of already in the corner by herself, wanting to be alone.
And she was the only one in the school that didn't know there was a troll in the school in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else was there when the troll was announced to be in the building.
Yeah. So, it just... The only thing I can think of is, yeah, she was caught off guard and wasn't expecting it, and so she reacted differently.
But maybe she didn't know trolls existed.
You would think in all her reading she would have.
That's true. She's very learned.
Read about them sometime, because she was very much into the wizard library.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But the boys saved the day.
It's true.
Mainly because the troll's dumb.
I mean, dumb is one thing, but I mean, 12 feet tall and he's got a club. Yeah. Like, I'm not going near him.
I'm not running and jumping on his back like Harry.
No. That kind of I wondered about that too. Was he like crouching or something? Like, right. I can't jump 12 feet in the air.
Yeah, no. Yeah, me either.
It almost makes me wonder if it was one of his magic jumps that, got him on top of the school kitchen when he was younger.
Good point. Yeah, because that'd be like the equivalent of like slam dunking a basketball.
Pretty much, yeah. Because like he just had to get his arms around his neck.
Sure.
So he didn't have to actually jump 12 feet, but still, yeah.
I feel like he would have had to get up there to get around enough to...
Especially for an 11-year-old.
Yeah. Big time.
Like, I mean, if it was an NBA player, yeah, okay, you can do that.
Not like anyone in Hogwarts would know what an NBA player was, but...
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen an 11-year-old slam dunk a basketball, so...
No. LeBron James, maybe.
Okay.
He was the king.
Maybe a few exceptions.
Either way. That didn't do any good. I mean, it distracted him. It slowed him down a little bit. Long enough for boy Ron to come through in the clutch.
Oh yeah. And finally put his school training to work.
Mm-hmm.
It came in handy. Real life application.
Weird how that works. And
Yeah.
it was thanks to Hermione's help earlier in that class.
Essentially, yeah, Hermione nagging on him.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Right. I feel like her words were just like going through his head like constantly as he was like getting ready and performing the spell.
Yeah.
But it worked.
It did.
Club went up in the air. Club came back down, top of the troll's head, smashed him, knocked him out?
Yep.
Did it kill him? We don't know.
Knocked him out.
Okay.
Yeah, because Harry asked if he's dead, and Ron's like, no, I just knocked him out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they took down a troll.
Yeah.
And Harry had to pull his wand out of the troll's nose.
Yeah, I would not want to, like, I'd have to see if I can get a new wand or see if Hermione knows a cleaning spell or something. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty gross.
But yeah, we get to the end of the chapter, and I think my favorite paragraph in the chapter, but from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend, which is interesting to note because we kind of thought they already were friends.
Right.
But I guess since they were, kind of having a little spat that, okay, now they're friends again.
Right.
Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them.
Yeah. And see, like my description of Neville and how, like, he's always just around and gets pulled into it, like, looking back, like, Hermione was kind of also in that role. Like, she wasn't really actively a part of Ron and Harry's, going-ons. Like, she was just always there around. But, like, Neville, I always saw as kind of like an outsider, and she was always, in my head, considered to be part of the group, whether or not, like, she was considered herself friends or whatnot.
Yeah.
But her position with how it all came to be wasn't much different than Neville's.
It's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the friendship trio is born, all thanks to a troll. Now that's chapter 11.
Yep, that gets us to chapter 11.
Do we have any new people?
Is titled Quidditch.
Mm-hmm.
And we do actually have quite a few new people.
All right.
They came in fairly rapid succession. While we were playing Quidditch, we learned about the rest of the Gryffindor team, which consists of Angelina Johnson, Alicia Spinnet, and Katie Bell. Are three chasers, which I find interesting. Well, one, that all our chasers are female, but that's the first we hear about this sport being co-ed.
Right.
Like, up until this point, we only knew about guys that played it.
Yeah, which made you think, like, is there a boys team and a girls team?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that work? And nope, clearly it's total co-ed, which is cool.
Yep. So yeah, we have the three of them. We have Fred and George, Harry, and Oliver Wood make up the Gryffindor team. Then we had a bunch of their opponents on the Slytherin team. The captain, Marcus Flint, Adrian Pusey, just got a last name, I believe, Bletchley was their keeper, and Terrence Higgs.
All of them sound like Slytherin names.
Exactly. They very well named.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess from the beginning we know they're members of Slytherin, but they fit very well. Yes.
Yeah.
We also got a quick mention of Fluffy.
Yep.
Who is our favorite three-headed dog.
Yeah.
Named
what a great
Fluffy.
name.
Yes. Well, did you catch who named him?
Hagrid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your boy Hagrid.
Yeah, that's his dog. He
Like
bought
you
from
said.
some guy in a tavern.
You said it once, and I have to give you credit now. Hagrid is in charge of all things big. There you go.
Yep.
And then we got a mention of someone named Nicholas Flamel. Don't know anything about him yet, really, at this point. Just a name Hagrid let slip.
Right.
So those are our new characters for now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have somewhere you want to start?
I do.
Okay.
Ron told Harry that rarely people die in Quidditch.
Yes.
Rarely. Like, I feel like if I was going to be playing Quidditch, I would want to know that, like, for one, that question shouldn't even be asked. Like, hey, do people die in this sport? No, that's a stupid question. Why would you ask that? If I had to ask it, I would still want, no, it's totally safe. Don't worry about it.
Uh-huh.
Rarely do people die in Quidditch, and nobody has died at Hogwarts playing it, which means that other people have died, they just haven't been playing at Hogwarts. No thank you. I'm done. I'm out. That's not for me. Nope.
But once again, you could write that off as playing to Harry's character a little bit more.
Sure.
Because the Gryffindors in particular are supposed to be brave, and so even in the face of possible death, playing a sport,
I guess
he's up into it.
That's why I'm a Hufflepuff, Matt.
It's true. It's true.
I'm a spectator in Quidditch. So yeah, that stood out. Of rarely do people die in Quidditch.
Yep.
Oh, that's good to know. Thanks, Ron. We got like our first Quidditch match going.
Yep. I liked that the morning of the Quidditch match, Hagrid was outside defrosting the broomsticks.
Right, because it was a cold November morning, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, right after Halloween, we're in November.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, that once again just plays into broomsticks are like cars.
Yeah.
they're wizard cars. They had to go out in the morning and defrost them.
Now, I see the car reference, but then they start playing Quidditch.
Yep.
And then I start thinking, maybe broomsticks are a lot more like horses than they are cars.
Yeah, but you don't defrost a horse.
No, I know. But cars don't also just start driving around by themselves either, where when Harry's broomstick goes crazy, all I could think about is like just a horse like doing its own thing. Like, it's still an animal, like no matter how much control over it.
It probably helps that they explained it as Harry's broomstick was trying to buck him off, I think.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, that's bucking bronco.
Mm-hmm. But just like the whole, like, even if you have spurs and you have the full get up to actually ride a horse as it's intended to be ridden, it's still an animal and it still has a mind of its own that could kind of do what it wants at any given point. Obviously we found out a little bit later that the broom wasn't just going off with a mind of its own, that it was under the control of some dark magic, but the description made me think more horse-like than car-like. But I digress.
It makes sense. I mean, we do know that there are, well, either magical items or things controlled by magic that can act on their own like that. Like, for instance, the bludgers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the bludgers are magic in some way that they want to attack the players.
Right.
They can be persuaded in one direction or another, but they kind of have a mind of their own. Sure. Like when Wood was teaching Harry, he first took it out of, like, they were latched into that box because they wanted to get out.
Right.
And he let one go and it, shot out and then came right back at them and then like swirled around their heads, and yeah, they have a mind of their own.
Yeah. So this Quidditch match.
Yeah. One other quick Quidditch fact that more or less trivia fact. I just love these little tidbits. There are 700 different fouls.
Yeah.
And they all happened in one World Cup match in 1473.
I love that. And I
Uh,
was thinking about it. Would that be the best match to watch or the worst match to
yeah,
watch?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be, a record-breaking match in
Hmm.
some respect. It must have been a pretty long match to
Sure.
have 700 fouls in it.
I mean, could you imagine watching an NFL game and every single penalty that could possibly be called during the game?
Yeah, that I feel like I've watched those games sometimes. I I actually did just watch one of ESPN's 30 for 30
Hmm.
on the U,
Oh yeah.
and they were talking about that there's one game the players were all riled up and they ended up getting, I think, 202 yards in penalties
Right.
during the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, they still won by like 40 points. But
To be fair,
I mean,
most of those penalties were personal fouls, though.
exactly. So they're 15 yards a shot, but still,
Yeah.
that's more than 10 personal foul
Sure.
penalties if they were all personal fouls, even.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of penalties,
Yeah.
no matter how you look at it. So,
Nothing compares to Quidditch, though.
no.
I like that there's an announcer for Quidditch.
Yes. Lee Jordan.
Yeah.
He has the best commentary. Like, I don't care how much he gets scolded. Like, I just picture this as, like, we have, like, shoutcasters nowadays.
Hmm.
Um, something like that. If Lee Jordan had the internet and he could just commentate on anything he wanted, I would listen to him all day, every day.
Sure. I feel like
Like,
he might be a pro wrestler announcer at some point, like maybe in the off season or something.
yeah.
Okay, clear this up for me. Is he a student? Is he a
Yes.
okay?
Yes. We've met him a couple times. He is fairly close friends with the Weasley twins.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Gryffindor.
The name didn't stick with me at all, so I wasn't quite sure who he was.
The first time was when they were getting on the train.
Mm-hmm.
The Weasley twins kind of left Mrs. Weasley to talk to Ron and Harry, and they met up with Lee.
Okay.
But like, it was just a very brief mention.
Gotcha.
But then when we got to there was one other mention, I forget what they were doing, where they mentioned his full name, Lee Jordan.
Okay.
And it was in some context with the Weasley twins.
Okay.
So
Mainly in passing, not a character that we've ever spent time with or anything.
no, this
Okay.
is the most we've gotten from him,
Okay.
and he is I love his commentary.
Sure.
Absolutely love it.
I think the best line was when someone got smacked in the face, and he said, "Hope it broke his nose." Only joking, Professor. And then like just kept going.
Yep.
Because he
Because he had
knows
all-
people are listening, and
Well,
he can't
yeah,
be saying stuff like
Like,
that.
I get it. I get a kick out of that. Professor McGonagall knows that she has to sit right behind him
Yeah.
to watch what he says.
Right.
So because he's scolding him constantly.
Could you imagine if he didn't have the reins on? Like, how awesome and horrible he would be at his job.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they make a reference to it that he had a hard time staying, not choosing sides,
Mm-hmm.
which really seems odd at that point to even have a student announcer, because you belong to one of the houses.
Right. Right.
So like, you shouldn't be allowed to commentate if your team is playing,
right.
basically.
So you'd have to get somebody who worked at the school to
Yeah.
do it, but nobody would have the energy
Well,
and the
no-
excitement as a
Well,
student.
no, I mean, just during you have essentially 4 announcers, then one from each house.
I guess.
And during the Gryffindor Slytherin match, the Hufflepuff announcer gets it.
Sure. I guess that's possible. But if there's only one kid in school that's good enough for it, let
Yeah.
him roll with it.
Oh yeah,
Honestly, this is one of the moments that I cannot wait for in the movie. Because I
Yeah.
want to see this kid in action. I'm hoping that's a part of the movie.
we'll find out.
Okay. Because I want to hear this, like, actual spoken word.
All right.
Yeah. It was a good match.
One quick note.
Sure.
did make a note of this. I forgot to bring it up though. When I was mentioning the Quidditch fouls, that they all happened in a World Cup match.
Yes.
So I just want to point out World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you how big this gets.
Yeah.
Like we all already got a little hint of it earlier when we found, Charlie Weasley could have gone pro. So like there's professional teams.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to play for England, and now there's a World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
It's all around the world. It's not just they're not just a sport at Hogwarts. It gets much bigger.
Right.
But yeah, pretty good match.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that when the snitch was cited for the first time, like everybody just paused.
Yeah.
This isn't something that happens normally in a Quidditch match. I'll just tell you that now.
Okay.
Like when the snitch is cited, yeah, it's a big deal, but typically the other players don't stop and stare. But I think they were all just wanted to see what Harry was going to do.
Right. That's how I kind of interpreted it.
Yeah. I think that was the big thing. It's like, oh, Harry's going to go into action now. Because up to that point, they had secret practices. No one, they didn't want him to see Harry play.
Right.
Harry was the big secret.
Now, answer me this. I don't know if it's ever really explained. Is the snitch just released at some arbitrary point in the match?
The snitch is released at the whistle that begins the game.
Oh, right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat. Like the Madam Hooch, who is refereeing the game, she. Let me see if it actually doesn't mention that.
So
okay.
in theory, it can be a pretty quick match.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't say it, but the thing with the snitch is I believe the term they use is lightning quick.
Sure. And it's super small.
Yeah, it's super small and can move super fast.
Okay.
And so the snitch, being a magical object, once again, just kind of knows when it's released, it's supposed to disappear as fast as possible.
Okay.
So it's released with the first whistle, and it typically moves fast enough that the Seekers aren't going to be able to see it right away.
Right. I think it was described like the first time it was sighted, it was just like a little shimmer, a little glimmer of gold.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the Seeker's job is so hard. Right. Like, yeah, the game could be over in 5 minutes, or it could take 3 months.
Right.
So.
Okay. It wasn't perfectly clear when it was released, and.
Yeah, it is out there the entire game. Okay.
Because it seemed like they had been playing for a while before somebody actually spotted
definitely.
it. So
definitely.
I was confused.
I in my head, the typical game lasts about the length of a typical sporting event.
Sure.
In my head, it'll take a couple hours, 2-3 hours. So.
Okay. Snape's a bad dude.
Yeah. And what really got me is how quickly Hermione just jumped on the Snape is evil train.
Right.
Like she was adamant, trying to stay away from it, not to say, she had a good view of the professors. Like she wanted to regard them highly.
Yeah.
But
she knew it wasn't just a broomstick going wild.
Well, yeah, but it surprised me that her first reaction was to look for Snape.
Yeah.
It wasn't, oh, look around. Oh, Snape is doing something.
Right.
No, her first reaction was to look for Snape.
Well, it kind of feels like she has been seeing it in classes, and she's whenever something bad is happening to Harry, Snape seems to be involved.
It's true, yeah. Like we were saying, Snape is the only one who's not giving Harry special treatment at this point.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense for her to make that assumption, but like you said, like she doesn't want to think negatively of the professors.
Yeah.
But this time she's just like, no, this is not gonna deal with this here. So she set him on fire.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of her little blue flame. Her little blue flame in a jar most of the time too. I like that she can scoop it up in a jar.
Yeah.
And it totally reminds me of Legend of Zelda.
Yep. Definitely.
Flame in a jar. Yeah. There you go.
Perfect.
It did get me the first time though. I kind of wonder if this was character changing quality here, because the first time she had one, they were just using to warm themselves outside.
Yeah.
And
before the match, right?
Something like that. Yeah,
I think so, because it was the cold morning. Yeah, so they're standing outside.
Yeah.
And,
and like they weren't sure if it was illegal,
right?
But they wanted to hide it from Snape in particular. And it stood out to me then too. That's like, wait, but this is Hermione that's doing it. So if she has any inkling that it's illegal, but she's still doing it,
right?
Like, these boys are really starting to wear off on Hermione here.
And that, I don't think they've made it perfectly clear, like, how much they're allowed to use their magic outside of, like, the classroom setting.
It's true.
You know? It feels like it's more regulated than just, like, if you could conjure fire, then make it happen type of thing.
Yeah.
And everybody's afraid of just losing points, and they don't want to do something. But at the same time, if they're cold, they're going to make a fire. Yeah.
You would think Hermione would think a little more logically, and if you're cold, put on a jacket.
Sure. But... Hey, if you could make fire, wouldn't you, Matt?
I would, but, I'm not Hermione, so...
Yeah. Ron's wearing off on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the Quidditch match here. Harry's broom was acting up, and I found it interesting that the Slytherin players did not care. In particular, Slytherin's captain, who took it upon himself to score 5 goals while no one was watching.
Sure, why not?
Okay, yeah. The game's still going on.
To win the game.
Yep. But he still did not manage to win. No. Because Harry managed, after Hermione's help, managed to get back on the broom and found the snitch.
Yep.
And he managed to catch it, but not in a standard fashion.
Look, the rules don't say how you have to catch it, just as long as you gain possession of it.
Yeah. Very true.
He did what he had to do, Matt.
Yep. Yeah. I'm glad the snitch isn't much bigger, because that
would have been a mouthful. Pun intended.
Yeah.
So, House Gryffindor with the victory.
Absolutely. They take the lead in house points. That's always nice. That's something that I didn't expect going into the book. I remember that the Quidditch points tie into your house points.
Right.
Like
you think those would be separate?
Yeah, but that's how integrated, Quidditch is into their world.
Absolutely.
It counts for everything.
Yep.
So there you go. There you go. That's why, at least when you're at Hogwarts,
sure,
why you need to score points.
I'll give you that. In the pros, though, different story. Hogwarts, every point counts.
There you go.
Okay. And that argument. Then we got some good old Hagrid at the end, and
yeah.
That's when we found out that his 3-headed dog was named Fluffy. Like I said earlier, he bought it from a merchant at the tavern, because where else would Hagrid be?
Where else would he do business?
It's his office, I believe so.
Yeah.
I found it super strange how defensive he was about Snape. Like, he was defending Snape and, kept kind of insisting that it wasn't him and that he didn't have beef with Harry when a few chapters ago, like, there seemed to be Hagrid knew something about Snape and wasn't really surprised that he had been picking on Harry. But now, fast forward a little bit, and it's almost like he didn't want to believe that Snape was responsible for what was going on, and that Snape was up to anything nefarious before with the troll and everything like that. Like, it was just weird that he was kind of defending him. Like, he was like, no, that's my coworker, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I would get, but he did it a few months ago.
That definitely leaves a lot of questions about Snape.
Mm-hmm.
And is definitely why, when we learn more about him,
yeah,
I can start explaining to you why, as I said earlier, he is one of my favorite, if not my favorite character. He's one of my favorite characters.
Right.
Like, he may not be a good guy, but he's one of my favorite characters.
Right. Understandably so. So it's just, he has some weird relationship with Hagrid, which I'm not really sure.
Well, it's just Hagrid's been around for a while, and he knows a lot more about Snape.
Yeah. Than
these kids who have been there for 2-3 months.
Right.
Know about him.
Sure.
Like, Hagrid actually, I don't know if we know if he had him as a teacher or not.
But still,
quite have a timeline on that.
Yeah.
But Hagrid's been around the school for long enough that he knows some of Snape's past. He knows what he's doing presently. He knows a lot more about him than Harry, Ron, and Hermione do.
Right. He needs to be a little more forthcoming with these kids, because he was leading them on to think one thing, and then now he's kind of retracting on it for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on.
And you shouldn't.
What I do know, though, is my final note of the chapter. That Hagrid might be the worst person at keeping secrets ever.
Which is weird, because, like, I was almost going to say he's good at keeping secrets. Because he won't, like we were just saying, he won't tell them anything about Snape.
But all he has to do is get, like, riled up a little bit, and he's going to start saying stuff without thinking.
Yep.
So, okay, maybe he's not the worst, but I feel like with a little bit of effort, you could crack him pretty easily.
When he's in control, I think he's very good at keeping secrets.
Sure.
If you said, kind of get him riled up,
he
might get a little loose.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he dropped that name, and Harry picked up on it.
Nicholas Flamel.
Right. But then he's like, oh, I shouldn't have even said that, and huffed off, and Hagrid being Hagrid.
And unfortunately, that's where Chapter 11 ends.
I don't want to wait another week to read more, Matt.
Well, the good news is, if you really wanted to, you could read the next 2 chapters right after this. I mean, you'd have to remember it until next week, then maybe reread it or something. But
that's the tough part.
Yeah.
That means I'd have to do a recap and do a whole episode with a week's worth of. I just want to keep going, Matt. Let's do 3 episodes a week. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. Don't worry. Whew. Everybody just pulled over and immediately unsubscribed from this podcast. Next week, what do we got? Episode 8 is going to cover
chapters 12 and 13.
12 and 13.
I believe from here on out, we're on a straight 2 chapters a week schedule for the rest of book 1.
Yep.
So it's pretty easy to keep track of.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for episode 8 coming out August 23rd, covering chapters 12 and 13. Matt, as we alluded to earlier in the episode, before we sign off here, we need to give away an awesome prize to one lucky winner who is nice enough to leave us an iTunes review. Do we have a winner, Matt?
Well, we're going to go ahead and pick one right here.
All right.
I have 10 entries.
Okay.
So everybody right now at this point has a 10% chance of winning, a 1 in 10 chance of winning.
Okay. That's pretty good.
I have assigned them all numbers,
Okay.
1 through 10,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask you to pick a number.
Oh boy. Okay. They're not in order, right?
They're not in order.
Okay.
They're not in the same order of the reviews on iTunes. That won't
Perfect.
help you at all. Yeah, I assigned them random numbers, 1 through 10.
I started the first couple, but
Yep.
I just want to make sure everybody's kind of feeling
Oh,
good
yeah.
about it. Oh boy, 1 through 10, huh?
Yep.
1 through 10. I'm gonna go with a number that's kind of reoccurring the last few chapters of this book, and it has to do with a group of friends. Also, a dog named Fluffy. And I'm going to say the number 3.
3. It's a good number. And that would mean our winner is the one and only Sebastian.
Whoa! Awesome.
We are very familiar with that name.
Yeah.
Sea bass. Fried sea bass.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You have won yourself a brand new set of Harry Potter books.
He lives pretty close. You could just drive it to him, right?
That's true. I'm actually going to see him this weekend.
That's super weird.
Too bad I don't have the books on me right now.
Oh, man, that is cool. Yeah. Congratulations. And thank you to everybody that did leave a review. Again, just because you didn't win this time, the good news is you are automatically already entered for future contests, so thank you.
Speaking of which...
Whoa. You're going off the show notes here, Matt. I'm not even prepared for what...
We're going to start up the next giveaway right away.
All right, let's do it.
So the next giveaway,
Mm-hmm.
same entry method.
Okay.
So like we said, the 10 people who are already entered, you are already entered for this next giveaway. Your work is done.
Okay.
Anybody else wants to enter, we need you to go to iTunes, leave a rating and review, take a screenshot, send that screenshot to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Okay.
And this time we're going to give away a complete set of Harry Potter on Blu-ray.
Whoa.
All 8 movies on Blu-ray. And we are going to line this up, hopefully, since we shouldn't have any more technical difficulties. We're going to line this up with our viewing of the first movie.
Awesome. Great idea.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we need you to have your entry in. The deadline is going to be 12:01 a.m. Central Time on September 12th. That's when we'll be recording the movie episode.
That's right.
Actually, no. Let me take that back.
Okay.
Because I need to talk to you about that, actually.
Okay.
About that recording date.
Okay.
So we are, let's see. What date is today?
Today is August 16th.
All right. So we're going to give you essentially 2 weeks. I'm actually going to put this at 12:01 a.m. on September 1st.
Okay.
That's our deadline.
Perfect. Fair enough.
So you have the rest of the month to enter.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Sounds great. We will remind people on the next episode for sure.
We will absolutely do that. I will post something about it too, probably.
Cool.
But yeah.
And that is a full collection of the Blu-rays of the Harry Potter films.
Absolutely.
1 through 8.
1 through 8.
Awesome. That's fantastic, Matt. I'm excited.
Got to go big.
With that being said, I think that pretty much concludes this episode of Tales from Godric's Hollow. Episode 7. Where we covered chapters 10 and 11 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Again, I am one of your co-hosts. I am the Muggle of the show, Josh Brown. You can find me on Twitter personally at The Noise with a Y. Part of Toys for Games, which you can find on Twitter at Toys for Games, which this podcast is a part of the network. And it's a great place. And also be sure to follow this show, specifically this show, on Twitter for all updates regarding show recordings, giveaways. If you just want to interact with us, let us know how you're enjoying the books and whatnot, how you're enjoying the episodes. Follow us on Twitter at Tales from GH. And then, Matt, where can people find you at, my friend?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter as well at As a Matter of Matt. It's As a Matter of Matt. Or if you want to send me something longer or send something to both of us but don't want Josh to see it right away, you can send me an email at talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. I have full control of that email. Josh will not see any of it unless I want him to. So it's a safe place over there.
That's right. Awesome. And big shout out to friend of the show, Christopher Long, who was enjoying some butterbeer today.
Yeah.
Posted a picture on Twitter.
A little bit jealous there.
Yeah, makes me miss it, Matt.
Yeah.
I want to try to make it myself, but I know it's not going to be as good. It's just not even going to be close. But again, thank you all for listening. This was a fun episode, and we look forward to next week again when we go over chapters 12 and 13, recorded on August 22nd to be released August 23rd. But until then, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.